Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of What Are You Going to Do About It? So I am very excited because I have a dear friend on today. He is a classically trained chef. I enjoy his food very much. He's also an author, a father, and a husband. I'd like to welcome you all, to introduce you all to Chef Jesse Jones.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
Jesse. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great, and thanks for having me on your show.
Of course, anytime. We met, oh my gosh, it's been more than a decade ago, yeah. I guess it's been now. So yeah. I remember the first time that I had some of your cooking, I was just like, oh my God, I need to pack him up and put him in my purse and take him home with me because it was so good.
Yeah, I know you always was like, upstairs, but like, save me.
Yes, please, save me a plate.
Like, save me something.
I know, I was disappointed that I couldn't have you down during the time I was getting married and my engagement party and all that, because I wanted to bless everyone with those flavors.
Yes, yeah, and I appreciate that. And and now that we have COVID, I was like thinking, like, man, when can I get outside the box and do something? Because I want to eventually, life after COVID, do something like that. Cook out outside the box, Because
Yeah, we were talking before we got on the call about how my niece and nephew would often bother you. Yeah. Calling you, but we pulled some recipes from your book.
Yes.
My Life in 40 Feast, yes. And I'm so glad to have it because I think the one recipe we did was the gumbo.
Oh.
And they did it all themselves. They made the roux and everything, so it was pretty exciting. However, they did have to make the roux about 3 or 4 times before we got it right. So
yeah,
that's
nice. Get around with it.
Oh yeah, they burned it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so again, the premise of this show is what are you going to do about it? It asks 3 simple questions. What was the problem? How did you identify it? And what did you do about it? So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you so that you can tell us what the problem was and what got you to a point that made you say, okay, I need to do something about this problem.
Right. Well, and they're 3 great questions, and a lot of people don't like to talk about it, like you mentioned as well, about whether they're depressed or especially men with mental health. But like I said, you just had my book up, and I showed my book as well. Power My Life in 40 Feasts is really special. It's much more than just a cookbook. There's some issues in there that I had, being a chef, being an African-American chef, growing up. And being in the field that I was, I didn't want to be labeled as a Black chef. I wanted to be labeled as a chef. And what they call the men's club. I always wanted to, be one of the great chefs with my peers. And that comes with a lot of pressure, being in the restaurant business. And then where my problem started was, with your 3 questions, was jumping out on faith to open up a restaurant.
Okay.
Open up my restaurant, and it didn't work out. And then you invest so much into it and you start losing, but then you end up covering up. You don't talk to anybody. So I went from being suicidal to losing my home, losing my restaurant. Fortunately, my wife didn't leave me. But it gets to a brink where you try to talk to people, and then they end up letting you down because they don't always give you the greatest advice. Like my advice was like, Jesse, just give it up. Go work with somebody. And I'm like, but I don't want to work with anybody. I have to make this work. And it's almost like a crash and burn. I knew I had a great skill. I knew I was trained, but I found myself over and over just auditioning myself to people, the people that I know, people that know my work. And so, I used to go out to a park bench. I talk about it in my book, and just sit and ask God, why did you wake me up this morning? Like, what am I doing? I just really could not figure it out. And it's going to come a time where wife, family, friends can't really help because they don't really know your worth. You have to, especially for your viewers and your listeners, you have to know your worth. And you have to stand by that, and it took me a long time because I needed that pat on the shoulder from people to keep me up, almost like a winding doll, like wind me up, and I was good. But on my own, I had a low self-esteem, low confidence, and I started just when I fell, pick myself back up, coming from the park bench, And I just said, you know what, I would get a call from someone just telling me how great I was or how they enjoyed my food. And it really sustained me. And so what I did about it was just pick myself up, kept pushing, believing in myself.
What was the turning point for you? Because a lot of times, unfortunately, when people get to the point where they're suicidal, some don't come back from that. So what was it that really prevented you from doing it? And then, that really just made you be like, you know what, I can't give up on life. I can't give up on myself. I gotta keep pushing. What was that thing?
No, absolutely. Well, it's my son, Filet. My son, Jesse Jones. He really saved my life as well because I just didn't want to leave him. We had started a journey together. Now he's very successful, and I didn't want to leave him. I'm not saying I didn't want to leave my oldest son or my wife, but it was a bond. But it was with him that I wanted to be there for him. So he saved my life, and me just wanted to live again, be like born again. So the first call that I made for a friend, and I was on not a hotline, but I was helping some people that were suicidal, and because they had read my book and we were talking, and that first call that you reach out to someone can be the worst call ever, because the first call that I called out just really at the brinks, I called a friend and they let me down. They basically was like, Jesse, this is not for you. Go work with somebody, give it up. And sometimes those calls can be when they're about to jump. Yeah. It could be the wrong call, and they just give them more self-doubt to kill themselves, So that call is very crucial to the right person that you can call. And me, it was just basically like, you know what, I want to live again. I want to be there for my son, I just gave me a little breath. But also you got to understand too that people can be cruel. In the African American community, about not taking you serious. You got to prove yourself by, taking your own life. And then, it really doesn't, you're really hurting, you're in yourself. Your family eventually, they're going to mourn, but life, and life is so precious. And I put a lot of pressure on myself. Like I should be this, or I should be the top chefs, or why are they getting accolades and I'm not? You know what? I didn't make a New Year resolution. But I said to myself, I was just going to ride into 2022 with just going with the flow, believing in myself, investing in myself, and you got to do a lot for yourself now. You can't depend on people because people are not, people is not like it was back in the day. They're not going to help. So they feel like they need something from you. Then they're on board. So you got to do your own legwork. You got to do your own information and build, and that story, they'll come. And I'm just glad to be alive. I'm really thankful, grateful, because like I said, coming from the chefs that I work for, I work for some great chefs in New Jersey, and I worked at 4-star restaurants, and it was very depressing. Like, what am I doing wrong? What I mean? Like, can you make a lasagna? I'm like, I can make a lasagna, but I'm a little bit more gourmet than that. So fighting for identity, I think I found my own identity. I'm definitely self-motivated. I'm here to help people. People call me all the time and I talk to them about, talk to someone. Because I had it all bottled down, really, and I was just self-destructing, it's really crazy. So that's what I did about it. I just took a deep breath on, what's very important,
Well, I want to push back a little bit because you said that, nobody's going to help you. You have to help yourself. And I think that's true to a certain extent. You have to help yourself. But you're a perfect example of, giving back and helping other people, because I know that you volunteer a lot in the community and you always give back. So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you're a part of and you have been a part of in the past?
Oh, yeah. Well, in the past, it's always been the children, because me growing up without a father, I know in the urban areas, and I know I get tired of being redundant to keep saying this, but in the urban area, they call that the war's me story. Like, young man can't get father, but it's serious, and that always hurt me. So I help them and give back and try to show them some cooking techniques, some simple things, how to make them a sandwich or a soup, and the homeless. Years ago, I was in a line. It was like a traffic jam, and I looked over at the soup kitchen. I saw like a family in line, and the kids wasn't running around. And I'm like, well, what place is that a kid is not running around. So I knew that they were hungry. So that's why I helped the shelter. And I've been doing that for like over 20 years before the pandemic. I would go down every Christmas, and I was really down this Christmas because I normally, Christmas Day, I feed the homeless. Been doing that for 20 years. So that's another love affair. Domestic violence, with the women, that's one of my biggest, women, because women don't understand, that, and people don't know what women go through, like when they're being bad, beaten by their husband or their boyfriend or whatever, and they got kids and they got to move. So these places help them, get a place to stay till they get themselves together. So that's one of the things. And then just helping the farmers and the bees. That's been, things I've been doing, because without the honey and without the farmers, we're not going to have any meat, and the vegetables too. So for the vegan. Right. So I've been doing that, and it's been dear to my heart, and any way I can help,
Yeah. So you spoke about you lost your restaurant. We know now that you are a personal chef. So do you still do that? Are you still working with, your celebrity clients and all of that?
Oh, yeah. Well, it is so funny. I scaled back from a few of the celebrity clients that I was cooking for. But Sunny Hostin, which is really big now, and she's on The View. That's my main client right now, and I'm never going to leave her unless she just get rid of me.
Right. Okay.
And with her, let me see. Yeah, I've been cooking for her like 19 years.
Okay. Who are some of the other notable people that you've worked with over the years?
I got a chance to cook for Whoopi. It wasn't like I didn't really get down, but she just needed a grill person, and I was like, yeah,
of course, right?
But meeting her was really amazing. She's an amazing person, the ultimate celebrity to me. And I met a few celebrities that, kind of like, but she's just, everything that you can imagine. She's real laid back. I didn't want to ask for a picture, so I was just cool. And so while I was cleaning up the grill, she just came by and was like, hey, I know you're going to need a picture. Yeah, she read my mind and took a picture. And I've been piggybacking off that picture for a long time. I'm going to piggyback on it forever,
That's awesome.
And then a couple of other hostess like, Tasha Marbury, which is, I don't know if you follow basketball, or Stephon Marbury back in the day. Did some things for her. And my dear friend Susan Douglas that just passed. She had amazing woman, amazing person. And then John Legend back in the day. You know what? I when I tell young cooks and they're like, oh, I want to cook for celebrities, it's great, but you also have to know your worth as well. You also have to know, like, they're human just like you are.
Yep. Very true. Very true.
I'm putting them on a pedestal, and you can end up not getting the type of just respect and money that you need. So know your worth as well. And I think that across the board, everybody will respect each other. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. Why don't you tell everyone how to follow you? And I think you have another book coming out soon. Is that?
I'm working on another. Yeah, I'm working on my show actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if I can call it Chef Jesse Live. So I got the new kitchen. I got the camera person. So hopefully I can interview you and get you.
Not unless I can be there in person to taste the food.
I know, right? Well, we had, we'll send a care package in the mail. So while we interview you, you'll get some. You get a taste. I'm on Instagram at chef _JES, the number 1. And Facebook is Jesse Chef Jones. But if you go to my website, chefjessejones.com, you can find all the information there.
Okay. And how do people buy your book? Is that just on your site or
it's
Amazon?
On the website as well.
Okay.
It's on the website as well. Just go click on books. I have my book there. Then I'm featured in a book which is very interesting for your audience of 100 Black chefs. And I didn't even know there was 100 Black chefs of the world. And I'm featured in that book. But it's an interesting book with great recipes, with from farm to table with Black chefs, from not just fried chicken and macaroni and cheese, like creme brulee, another level. Right. That's a good book to purchase as well.
Before we go, what type of food do you specialize in? Because I know that you're classically trained. I've had most of your like Southern cooking, but Southern cooking with a twist.
Yeah.
So what?
Same approach. I just call it a modern approach now. So it's a modern approach to Southern. I have a standard French technique. I'm really putting a lot of emphasis on Southern food because back in the day, Southern food just it wasn't a lot of things wasn't invented or grown. So now in modern approach, we can implement different things into our Southern, but not to disrespect the actual culture and integrity of a classic shrimp and grits. Keep it classic. And a modern twist, but not to overdo it, but to make it a little, make it a little healthy and health conscious, because people have different restrictions now.
Yep, so true.
Yeah, so that's what I did. Power my life in 40 feasts, and that power means, do you know what it means?
You told me before, but why don't you share it with our audiences?
Passion, opportunity, and work. For all your listeners, all your viewers, gotta have some passion. If your opportunity, ready to work. Pow.
I think there's nothing else to say other than pow.
All right. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You know that I respect you and admire you a great deal. Love your cooking. I tell everybody that. I'm always running around Atlanta like, I wish I could taste Chef Jesse's food. I wish you would open a restaurant down here because it is so good.
I'm coming. You got to plan a pop-up or something. Let me do something.
Yes, I will be first in line to help.
I know you can set it up for me because you always look up for me, and I appreciate you. I wish you the best of luck with your show. Keep pushing. Dream big with it. It's gonna happen, and whatever I can do to make it work.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I appreciate you. Remember to hit subscribe and encourage others to do so as well. We're just trying to share some love, positivity, and inspiration. And, hopefully everyone gets to that point where they say, what am I going to do about it? And actually do something about it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you again, Chef Jesse. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Pow.